doctor for the evening, Dr. Michael DiMiuta. We refer to him as Dr. Mike, and he is going to be walking us through a fun presentation this evening that we are delightfully calling Why Listen to Us? So, Dr. Mike, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Woodson. Happy New Year to you and to all the listeners on, and thank you. As the news did not hit me until I had my second cup of coffee this morning. The question really was, why listen to us? Why listen to what we have to offer? Because there is a ton of information out there. Most of it is free, and nowadays you can gather the information. You don't even have to be sitting at a computer to get it. I was looking over how to rewire a certain appliance, and truth be told, I just pulled out my smartphone, logged online, and got the information I needed. No computer in the conventional sense needed. So why listen? I'm going to backtrack a smidge. And Woodson, if you would move us to the next slide, please. This is something that I've been dealing with over the past 30-some years. The bane of my professional life. When I was in pre-med, word sort of gets around on campus that you're in a pre-med course, and people start asking you all kinds of medical questions despite the fact that you're not even sure that you're going to qualify for med school. But dorm mates, classmates would walk up to me and say, I read it in the newspaper, or better yet, I read it in Reader's Digest, because Reader's Digest was constantly running articles about health and wellness and fitness. And they'd ask my opinion on it. I was like, well, I don't. A little bit later on, it was, well, I heard it on the radio, and they said this, that, or the other thing. I distinctly remember the third item. When I started my clinical training, my patients would come in, or I would go see the patient on the floor in the hospital room, and they would say, I saw this thing on TV, and I thought that was really, really bad. And then Dr. Oz or any of the other celebrities came along, and now my patients were quoting these people saying, well, I heard Dr. Oz or Oprah says, or whatever the case may be. And as bad as I thought that situation was, it actually got worse when the internet came around, because it takes a little bit of money to run an ad on TV. It takes next to no money to post something on the computer. And it's interesting, my patients will say, I saw it on the computer. I finally realized that there was no point to telling them, you didn't see it on your computer, you got it from the internet. They really could not make that distinction easily. But there's a ton of information out there, and it's increasingly more voluminous and free and cheaper. So moving on to the next slide, why would you listen to those of us coaching you through My Grade 28? Why would you listen to a doctor? There is a ton of information out there. Most of it is free, but the one thing that we bring to the table is a sense, and this is shown in the next slide, of perspective. Where this may be something that you're reading or hearing for the first time, it may be something that I'm hearing or reading about for the nth time, for the 10th time, for the 100th time. More importantly, I can compare the information to stuff that I have learned over the past 2 and 3 decades. So we're going to put into perspective with the next slide. We're going to put into perspective information from the past year from wellness and weight management. So the first of these is the idea that rapid weight loss was a bad thing. In 2014, study after study finally showed that if you wanted lasting weight loss results, rapid weight loss was the way to go. The old concept of if you lose weight slowly, your body, your brain has a chance to adapt was bad, was wrong. Your body needs to hit a reset button. Rapid weight loss got that done. More importantly, rapid weight left the individual with a major sense of achievement. This then got them more motivated to continue with the program and achieve even better results. So rapid weight loss, every program out there now, if you listen very carefully on TV, On the radio this afternoon, I was listening to an ad running. There are now very subtle changes in the way they're pitching the program. They're now saying, get on the scale every single day. You will see the weight loss every single day. Whereas in the past, the advice was, don't get on the scale for at least a week because you won't see the weight loss. Because now every program out there is trying to push toward rapid weight loss. So that's the major change theme. The next one talks about how moderate weight loss and disease reversal happens very rapidly. This was actually something that I was exposed to more than a decade ago, and it was not a very popular notion back then. The University of Chicago School of Medicine had generated data that showed a 7 to 10% reduction in body weight would lead to a reversal of diabetes. Now, understand, conventionally, diabetes was one of those conditions that could not be healed, but we could not cure. In 2014, study after study after study after study has clearly shown a 7 to 10%, 15% weight loss from basal rates. It essentially abolishes all signs and symptoms of diabetes. It also improves cholesterol problems. It improves high blood pressure. It improves a whole host of things, and it happens very early in the weight loss journey. So now, again, if you listen very carefully, ads running on TV, in the newspapers, on the radio, talk about you need, if you're a diabetic, if you're a hypertensive, if you have bad cholesterol, you need this weight loss program. Because clearly in 2014, the data showed that. And this is going back a couple of years, but clearly became very, very robust in terms of data. Inflammation is the root cause of a whole host of things. When I walk up to one of my former trainees from medical training, from internship and residency, and she's now a very well-established, very well-known, very highly respected cardiologist locally here in Florida, and tells me, Mike, the cause of heart attacks is not cholesterol, it's inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. Guess what the cardiologists are now themselves looking for and taking? They're looking for things to reduce inflammation, because it is not just heart disease that can be controlled by controlling inflammation. It's a whole host of other diseases. In 2014, the data clearly showed any effort to address inflammation, especially using natural methods and avoidance of pro-inflammatory compounds, has massive health benefits for all of us. And I am so glad that this item was finally laid to rest. Low-carb diets are best. It's been argued off and on over the last 20-some years. It started with the Atkins diet, which was a high-protein, low-carb diet. And they've been pitting one diet against the other over and over and every single study showed that the high-protein, high-fat, low-carb diet won over every other approach. Now, the interesting thing about all of this, and I'm smiling as I say this, is that there are still professionals in the medical community who insist that those studies are not well designed. Study may have one flaw or another, but when you take 20-plus years worth of study after study after study after study, all showing the fact that low-carb diets have an advantage not just in helping people lose weight, but keep the weight off and reduce inflammation. Clearly, low-carb diets are the best. Now, you will have people who have an opinion that this or the other thing is not correct. But the data now clearly shows low-carb diets are best. In fact, if you're trying to lose weight, a moderate high-protein diet. Now, a separate story, a separate item, but still related to this item about low-carb diets, is the issue about fat consumption. The past 25 to 30 years of dietary advice has emphasized avoidance of fat. You've got low fat, no fat, everything fake fat out there, and Americans became more and more obese the less fat they ate. fat consumption is not only healthy, it is essential. It really should come as no surprise. The vast majority of our nervous system is composed of a certain type of fatty tissue. You don't eat enough fat, and you will in fact have major problems. Now, you can't just go out and eat just any kind of fat. You do have to take some dietary advice. And one of the most interesting pieces of advice that came out in 2014 was the fact that coconut oil, which had been painted as the great evil of fats out there, has now been found to be one of the healthiest fats you could consume, not just on an ongoing basis, but especially if you're trying to lose weight. Now, switching gears slightly, there's this concept of the microbiome. The microbiome is it's a new term that's been coined and has come into wider use in 2014. The microbiome describes grand summation, the grand total of all the different organisms found in your gastrointestinal tract. 40-some years ago, the whole idea about bacteria in the gastrointestinal tract was that it was all bad. I remember observing my dad prepping a patient for bowel surgery. They would literally put the patient on 3 and sometimes 4 different antibiotic combinations and purge everything out of the gut. The whole idea was there had to be no living bacteria in the gut when they did the surgery. And not surprisingly, nowadays we know my dad's era had complication after complication after complication. And it had to do with the fact that we are supposed to have bacteria in our gastrointestinal tract. Sometimes it's good bacteria, sometimes it's bad bacteria. But here's what we've learned recently. The type of organisms found in our gastrointestinal tract not only aid us in our well-being, they aid in digestion, they will even signal our bodies. The bacteria will tell our bodies when we have consumed enough and when we should not consume anymore, if the microbiome is healthy. So any effort to improve the microbiome is, and then side by side with the microbiome is the next item. And I put the item in parentheses because, you know, depending on your particular viewpoint on the world, detoxification is king or queen of the whole situation. And this has to do with the fact that it is now widely acknowledged that we are living in such a toxic world. There are so many chemicals put into everyday products, soaps, shampoos, skin conditioners, cleansers, skin creams, toothpaste, even food items that have never been tested for toxicity. It's kind of upside down in the United States. A company or an individual has to prove that a particular substance is dangerous. Otherwise, the company producing or using that chemical is free to use it. They can add all these other things because if there's no clear evidence that it's dangerous, it's felt to be okay. Well, the last count of all these chemicals is beyond anyone's comprehension, and the truth is few, if any, of these have truly been tested. So we need to detoxify our systems, and it has now been established that detox is vital to well-being. But the issue then becomes, how do you detox? And yes, there are many competing programs out there, and there are people out there who will say that this method or that method is the best way to do it. I will express an opinion a little bit later on, but this was one of the big stories from 2014. Nowadays, when you mention the word detox, just about everyone understands what you're trying to do. Now, the last thing I'd like to touch on before I summarize all of these things is the fallacy of the young. And Woodson and I were having a conversation earlier when I was explaining the concept behind this. One way to look at this is, if you want to get financial advice, don't get financial advice from somebody who inherited their money. They would not know how to make it. Go find somebody who had to make the money and get financial advice from somebody who's made money, lost money, and made it back in spades because they certainly know what they're talking about. How this applies to wellness and weight management? Don't take the word of the young celebrity or the young personal trainer that what they're doing is the way, the only way to lose weight and get strong. They're still young. It's almost hard not to be strong and keep your weight off when you're young and not even trying too hard, just being reasonable in your choices. Find somebody who's lived a little bit, gained some weight, and then lost the weight. Find somebody who's been on that seesaw, who's been on that merry-go-round of trying different programs and failing a couple of times, and then finding a program works, because nothing else. They know what they're talking about. So how does all of this apply to My Grade 28? Well, My Grade 28 and the products used in My Grade 28 emphasize rapid weight loss. We are one of the few programs out there that honestly tell people we can help you lose 14 to 21 pounds in a given month. And that's actually, in my experience and the experience of quite a few other people, underestimating things a bit. Medical improvements happen early, client after client after client after client. Between the third and the fourth week on the program come in and say, oh my God, my doctor just, and you fill in the blanks, took me off my medication, reduced my insulin, told me I don't need this and that anymore. The programmation, the coaching especially, is designed to reduce the substances that you consume and are exposed to on a daily basis that will foster inflammation. It teaches and coaches low glycemic carbohydrate consumption. It does not get rid of carbs. It's a very balanced program, but it does teach the individual how to consume low glycemic carbohydrates. And very, very importantly, it adds healthy fats back to the program. It encourages you to consume coconut oil and healthy fats, because a diet that is devoid of those components will actually fail you. It supports the microbiome. The Pure Nourish, the protein powder, has been reformulated to not only supply probiotics but also prebiotics, but specifically encourage the growth of the most healthy type of bacteria in your gut. This is, to a physician who understands the physiology of this particular component, you think you're getting a protein shake, and yes, it is a protein shake, but you're also feeding the most important bacteria in your system to continue to keep you healthy. We have a detox program, and this is one of the most interesting care field, especially naturopaths, and I describe the detox program. At the beginning of 2014, most of them did not know about the main component, which is zeolite. By the end of 2014, just about every single one using zeolite. Our program was far, far ahead of everyone else. And lastly, we aren't exactly spring chickens. Most of us on this program have been through a couple of these programs, have tried different things, had some success, more often than not, who did not maintain that success. What is most interesting is I am coming up on 2 years of having used the program, and I do not use the weight loss components on a daily basis, and have not for the better part of the last 2 years now. I have not gained a single pound back. It is the most amazing. Coming slide, why listen to us? We don't say that we're the best. There is still a ton of information out there. Most of it is still free. But very little of it has been vetted. My Grade 28 has and continues to be scrutinized by people capable of applying perspective. And I'm not just talking about doctors and physicians. I'm talking about health coaches. I'm talking about clients who have used all kinds of programs out there. I'm talking about plain old ordinary people who out of a necessity learn how to keep themselves healthy. So why listen to us? We truly deliver results, and the science behind our program was far ahead of the rest of the field. In fact, by my count, about 3 years ahead of everyone else out there. Imagine that.
I love this. I think it's great. I think it's important for all of us to know, because so many people on this are going, okay, I've tried this, that, and the other, everything that you said. Why is this different? And then there are quite a few of us listening. We're still on our new health journey, and people are asking us what on earth we're doing. How you look different than the last time I saw you, things like that. So this is a wonderful tool we have of what separates us from the herd and from the pack, not to mention the results speak for themselves. So I loved this training, Dr. Mike, and I'm really excited about what we're doing with our New Year, New You campaign, and all of the New You today got me so excited. And we are here. Connect with us on Facebook. We've got a new recipe section, a new photo gallery. We want your photos. We want your healthy recipes. We're going to be putting all kinds of neat things there, but we have them categorized in photo galleries for you to tag yourself, share with your friends, send to people. It's going to be a really interesting way and fun way of helping things go viral. And as always, you can email us at Migrate28. And Dr. Mike, I totally invite you to stay with us, because now we are going to we're going to interview and this week's going to be interesting because it's one and the same person. So we are going to be speaking with Carla Christina Contreras, who is a phenomenal customer, but she had no intention of becoming a coach, but her results were so incredible. She wanted to become a coach and is now the most successful coach that Migrate28 has, not only in the United States, but in multiple countries. So, Christina, are you with us?
Carla Christina is here.
Carla, hello, Carla. I want to make sure I get all three of your names in. I've called you Christina. I've been talking to you all day, Carla. Well, anyway, everybody can see your picture. 84 pounds gone. You just look like your daughter. I mean, it's just incredible when I see these before and after pictures. I've gotten to know you, and everybody here from a customer perspective, you have such phenomenal results in the waistline, your energy. Talk to us. How has this made you feel? And then I read top pieces of advice for how people can get results and maximize their results. But really, in a couple of minutes, tell us the health transformation you've had just physically.
Well, it started out not being able to get off my couch very easily. I was at a point where I literally would have to set my legs far apart, would have to get momentum to up off of my couch and use my arms and to literally get myself up because I've had knee surgery on both knees. And as the weight progressed, I had fallen down the stairs 2 weeks after my surgery, and don't even ask me why I didn't go back to the doctor, but I thought, oh, I'll be fine. And then little by little, I started putting more and more and more and more and more and more weight on. I got to the point where I was completely afraid of food because I didn't know which way to go. Am I low fat? High this? Do I cut this out? Is it non-fat? Is it, is it, oh my God, it got to the point where it was so confusing to me that it just completely freaked me out. But when I was at this point on the couch where I couldn't get up, and then I thought, well, the couch is kind of low. Should I get those little things to lift the couch up? I'm looking at lifting my couch up so that I can still sit on it. And then I was sitting in my dining room chairs, and they have arms, so they were cutting off my circulation, and my left thigh was going to sleep. Well, that wasn't going to work either. So I had a really, really long talk with, as they say in 12-step, my higher power, God, the universe, whoever you want to bring in. I had the conversation with that higher power. I just let go. I was crying, screaming, yelling, and about a week later, my lap by a client who called me and wanted me to do a wedding. And lo and behold, I was just at the point where, you know what? I said, I am listening, because I didn't have any more choices. And I wasn't going to be able to stand and watch TV or stand and relax, and even sleeping. I had to get a Tempur-Pedic bed because my back was so I have scoliosis and sway back, and so as I got heavier, my lower end got bigger and the arch in my back got more severe, and so even sleeping was difficult. So at times I would sleep on the couch sort of propped with pillows and so forth. So to go to the advice part of it, when this program came to me, I made the decision, I made the commitment. It was like, this is it. I am going to do this. And I'm not going to say that I had the feeling that it was going to work. It was kind of like, there's no plan B anymore. This has to be plan A, and this has to work. So when I saw pictures of people like me, like you're looking at my before and after picture right here, and I would say Lisa Cummings, who in the wheelchair, that was the deal breaker. When I saw her picture, and here I was with two knees that weren't working for me, and I could barely get up and down a flight of stairs, I thought, if that woman in a wheelchair can do this, I can do it. And so I just started the program very, slowly. I opened up my little booklet and I read it about 3 different times, and then I started taking the drops, and sometimes I would forget. In the very beginning, you've got to get used to things. You've got to start making things a habit, just like it says there. Like Woodson wrote, set alarms on your phone, do what you need to do, carry them in your purse. I ended up splitting up my drops and putting them in 2 separate so that I made sure I had a set at home and I had a set with me if I was traveling. Then I really resisted counting calories. Any diet, quote-unquote diet, and by the way, seesaw, I'm when it comes to a seesaw, Dr. Mike. Merry-go-round, I've been on that my entire life. My first quote-unquote diet started in I believe 72. I was in middle school, and it was Weight Watchers. I've done not all of them, but quite a few of them, and I now consider myself, I call myself a weight release. I don't say loss, because there's something different about this program. You don't lose it and then find it again. Our program, it taught me how to eat. So getting back to counting the calories, I resisted it, but I decided, okay, I'm going to do this exactly the way they tell me to do it. So I started counting calories. I used the myfitnesspal.com app on my iPad. I loaded it on my computer, and I couldn't get over how easy it was. Everything that I was using, fresh food or like even the Pure Nourish, everything was already in there. So I would just type it in and boom, there was the calories. So it was happening really fast, and I was afraid that that was going to be really time consuming, and time was something that I didn't have much of. Thirdly, water, 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 water. How many times did I weigh in on a weekly basis? In the first 3 weeks, I released 12.3 pounds. That was amazing for me. I mean, that took me 7.5 months on Weight Watchers, because my metabolism was so messed up, because I personally was so afraid of food that I wasn't getting in enough calories, or I was eating processed food and my body was just kind of going, what do I do with this? So it was like it was storing it. I would have a friend who I was going to Weight Watchers with, and she'd go, oh, I was so bad, I had so much sugar this week, and and then she'd lose 4 pounds, and I'm thinking, how does that work? How does she do that? She must be doing something else, but she was also exercising. When I didn't drink my water, I would barely have a loss. But when I drank my water, along with remembering to take my drops and keeping track of my calories, because it was a real rude awakening for me to find out how many calories a couple of nuts are, or how many calories a teaspoon of peanut butter is. It was mind-boggling. So if you're going to start this program, I really advise you, please give in to counting the calories. Do what you need need to do to take those drops, because they can't help you unless you take them. And I've talked to many, many of my customers, and I've said, are you taking the drops? Are you making sure you're getting them in? Even if you forget, take them. Take them. I have taken them during a meal. I've taken them after a meal. It's got to get into the system. And you know what? Dr. Mike, I think, is the one who said, go ahead and take one or the other. So I am on all of these calls because I am still on this journey. Yes, I love that after picture, but I'm not done yet. I still have 30 plus pounds to go.
Well, Carla, I want to ask you something, because you had someone stop you at a gas station today. It's a place that you frequent on your way to different art shows and whatnot, and they wanted to know what you were doing, and they just said, you know, don't want to be nosy, but you look amazing, you look totally, because you had never shared this with me. How many pounds you lost before you ever decided to get active?
Well, to get
physically active. Physically active.
Physically, right. No, because of the injury to my knees and the excess weight going up to over 300 pounds, I actually was not able to truly get physical until I had released 75 pounds, because the chronic pain and the lack of strength in my knees did not allow me to be physical. And I couldn't do it. So this, in essence, able to, and that's why I brought up the woman in the wheelchair. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be forced into that gym, which was so demoralizing to me at my size. And then I didn't have the stamina, and I did not have the strength anymore to lift the weight that I was carrying. So when this man asked me, he said to me, well, I need to lose weight. I've had you for years now, walking into the store and coming to this gas station. He said, what have you done? And I told him, I've done a homeopathic weight loss system that taught me how to eat healthy and clean for my body, the way it was designed. And I said, I don't diet, I don't starve, I eat. Oh my gosh, I'm eating actually 3 times the amount of food I was eating. 3 times, because I was only eating maybe 1 meal a day.
There you go. There you go. Well, Carla, we're going to switch gears now, because you came into this whole thing, okay, as a customer, and you became an incredible beacon. I mean, people have watched your transformation. You've had quite a few before and afters, and now you're just getting more and more spectacular, that you wanted to be a coach because you wanted to help other people feel this way. And I know that people asked you, you know, what are you doing? I want to do it too. And so now you've become the most successful coach, not just in the United States, but in every country we do business in. And guys, that's 13. So having said all of that, I know that it was never your intention to be a coach, and now it's your life, it's your passion, it's what you do. You're amazingly successful at it. Can you give us some coaching advice? Because a lot of people listening are either they're customers who have a coach, because that's the only way they found out about this is through a coach, or they are coaches that are like you. They've had this epiphany, and now they're passionate about helping others. So what helps you be such an amazing coach?
Well, it's funny. I think that in any relationship, the most important thing that there is communication. So when I said to you, first off, communication, I mean, I think about anybody that I have an interaction with, you know, communication is key in the success of that relationship. So my coach, who brought me this program, I spoke with him, gosh, sometimes on a daily basis. And it could be, you know, I'm a mind, body, spirit person. I have been working for that balance for many years, you know, in not only my food, my life, my marriage. Balance has been sort of, kind of the imbalance, should I say, is what has caused a lot of the problems. I want to do everything. So I just, you know, I don't know if everybody's like that, but that's what I'm like. And so with my coach, we would talk just about every day. And what I try to do is find out with each of my customers, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? How do you, are you text? Are you email? Are you the telephone? What do you want me to communicate with you? Let me know what that is, because I happen to be a text person now in this day and age, and someone asked me today, what's the easiest way? I said text. Text. My phone is always in my pocket. If you call me, I may not be able to listen to that, you know, that message right away, but I can see a text. So what I do with my customers now is I ask them, give me that medium, and then now I want mission for me to keep you accountable. So
I need to say that again. Say that again. I think this is paramount in your success. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I want
get
you.
Information.
Yeah. Please. So Woodson, if you're my customer, I'm going to ask you for something really huge right now. For your success, I need your permission to keep you accountable. I don't want you to get mad at me when I try to give you something that has worked for me. We'll discuss it. But will you give me permission to keep you accountable? Will you give me permission to text you or call you or email you or whatever it is that you've chosen? Will you give me that permission?
Yes.
So, and that's usually the answer. So if they give me that permission, but here's the thing, and I told you this today, Woodson. I have tried everything, including 12-step. I went to Overeaters Anonymous, and let me tell you, I resisted that for years. I was not an overeater. I was actually an undereater. But going to 12-step did show me that I had bulimic issues and anorexic, more anorexic than anything. But I always I was like, yeah, I'm a failed anorexic. I mean, look at me, how big I am. No anorexia issues. How I sponsor in that, get a sponsor. Well, that's what we are as coaches. We're sponsoring each one of our customers. And I want their success just as much as I want my own success. It is, yes, it is not only my passion, it's a must. It has become the service that I do. It has become somewhat my ministry. And so in 12-step, you have to call the sponsor. The sponsor will not call you. In this, it's somewhat, if you want to be a successful coach, you have to reach out to the customer, but it is even more successful for the customer if they reach back to the coach. That it is a cycle. It is a give and a take and a give and a take and a take and a give. It just keeps cycling.
I love that because Dr. Mike helped me with my transformation, and he was my accountability because there was no, you know, I couldn't joke my way out of a conversation with him. I loved it. He was like, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done whatever? And I needed that. And that accountability changed my life, my health, my lifestyle. Our family is healthier now. I mean, the repercussions of the rippling effect of this have just been extraordinary. And when you said, you know, I get their permission to hold them accountable, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. And that is just so, to see what you've done with your life, with your health, with the whole 9 yards. It's just absolutely incredible. And everybody's loving failed anorexic, LOL. I think people are going to give you credit for that one time, and then they're going to steal it, including me.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Right. I wanted, you know, something I didn't tell you yet. Starting this month, the date has not been announced yet. I am going to be hosting a national call through RX, and the call is called From the Heart. And it's maintenance for your mind. It's for people who have lost a lot of weight on this program, and there's hundreds, maybe thousands of us here in the United States. And you get to the point where, there's some pretty dramatic changes happening for you, and it can be very emotional. And so that's what my call is about, and it's going to get started this month. So I just thought I'd let you know that.
I think that's great, and we'll definitely get the word out on that. And I want to congratulate you on all of your success. And to everybody listening, obviously we do this every single week. Make sure you're on the auto feed from Migrate 28 with the exclusive coaching from our health panel from the physicians that you will receive each and every week. We have months and months, basically 8 weeks of very intensive coaching for you to maximize your results, and then an additional now 4 months and growing worth of content and material, plus these live calls and webinars and trainings that we're doing. So it's really exciting that all of y'all are a part of it. If you need more information on the automation, send an email to migrate28@gmail, and we will make sure that your email is registered to receive the automated free coaching from the doctors that coincides with what you saw tonight. You need to check in with your coach. So now I'm making everybody accountable to everybody because of Carla's awesome advice. Weigh once a week. Measure once a week. Do a photo once a week because it's fun to track your visible changes. If you want to do it more than that, that's fine, but at least do that once a week. I really think that that's so important. Send us your before and after photos. You can send us the before and in progress photo, and we will note it as that. And we will help keep track of those and make you this really neat montage. It's something that we love to do. And send us your recipes. We want to add those to the new recipe section on our Facebook page. That is something that's very exciting as well. And with all of that being said, we promise that we will keep this at 45 minutes, which is awesome. Carla, I cannot thank you enough. You are so amazing and such an inspiration, and I know we're going to have you back as a guest, and you really helped us a ton.
Thank you.
And Dr. Mike, as always, you are so fantastic. I love tonight, and we are going to be hearing from the other doctors next week, and we are going to keep you posted. Everybody will be receiving a lot of information from us. And with that being said, we're going to sign off. We're at 45 minutes on the dot, so good evening, good night. God bless each and every one of you, and we can't wait to see you next week. Bye.